South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Ready to bet smarter? Get sports betting tips straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I like the Commanders at 3.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
The wise guys were all over Florida last week, and they're against Florida this week. That's not a common pattern.
I think these teams could score a lot. I would look at the over.
I'm very high on Tampa Bay. I think they can go there and they can win this game.
Subscribe for free to Sports by the Book on YouTube. Your winning edge starts now.
By the Book on a Tuesday, live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. South Point was packed last night, as Sportsbook Director Chris Andrews predicted. Of course, a Game 7 in Major League Baseball. We had a doubleheader in the NFL and capped it off with a Knights victory. So it was a fun place to be on today's show. We will put a bow on Week 7 for the NFL. We will give you the updated lines for Week 8. Chris Andrews and myself, we both have updated top 10 power ratings for college football. We've got 2 college football games tonight that we will get to. NBA is back, not preseason. The regular season begins tonight with 2 games and a full slate of hockey. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us. If you are joining us live, please jump in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Alex White alongside Ryan McCormick behind the glass as always. And to my left on the desk today, we have Matt Neverett joining us. We're happy to have Matt back.
Excited. Let's go.
It's been a crazy few months for you. I know, the voice of the Aviators, the voice of the Rebels in just about every men's sport.
If they were to add new ones, I'd probably find a way to do that too.
Are you doing hockey yet?
Not yet. I got asked to do PA for hockey about 2 years ago. I was in LA actually seeing a Dodgers game late in the season. Otherwise, I would have done it.
Well, still follow him. UNLV football. First loss. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but still 6-1. They're going bowling already, and basketball's about to start too. So you've got that coming up.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This kind of crossover season, really insane. I get my freaking flyer miles, if not flying charter with the team. But yeah, happy to be back like I never left. Love the Studio B look. First time I've hosted in the new studio.
Not too bad, right?
I love it. I love Jeff's jerseys, by the way, too.
And it feels very homey.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. Happy to be here. Of course, it works out perfect that you're joining us because we're going to recap this Game 7 last night, and we're going to start our preview. The World Series is set. Game 1 is on Friday. You're very familiar with this Dodgers team that has kind of been dominating. But first, let's do a recap of yesterday and what we saw. George Springer go ahead 3-run home run in the 7th And we got to give kudos to Ryan. He said he liked the Blue Jays yesterday. I was on the other side, but I couldn't even be mad. It was a great game regardless. What'd you think?
Well, it's one of those ones where as soon as Seattle gave up a little bit of the momentum in that series, Toronto, with as good as they are and this kind of being the year that they put it all together offensively, I had a feeling that they were going to come back, especially once they got to Game 7, with that Game 7 being in Toronto. And I think if the Blue Jays are going to have a chance in this World Series, I don't think that they win the World Series, but I think if they are going to, George Springer at the top of that lineup is going to have another great series. I would say if you think Toronto wins the World Series, maybe take a look at George Springer MVP ticket. I think Vladdy Jr., the obvious pick as far as Toronto hitters, but if they're going to win, I think George Springer has to set the table at the top of that lineup.
Ryan, what'd you think of Game 7 and maybe even what you're thinking for MVP if the Blue Jays were to win?
Well, I mean, if the Blue Jays are to win this series, the World Series against the Dodgers, yeah, it'll absolutely, I think, be off the bat of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or George Springer as he came up last night. But I did want to mention, at least Attila wanted to mention in our chat today, that he took a piece early in the season as he's been watching us throughout the Major League Baseball season. But because you and your dad had the advice of the Blue Jays, he got them at 8-1 to win the AL. So nice price there because he's been listening for a while.
I'll never forget when we were previewing all the divisions and we were talking about the AL East, and they were 10-1 just to win the division.
Crazy.
And my dad's sitting at the desk, Kenny White, of course, and just said, 10-1 with this team? Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take a flyer on that. And no one really expected this, but it's been a lot of fun, I have to say. And kind of an under-the-radar starting pitching staff, right?
Yeah.
Not the best, but they don't strike out, these guys. So it should be a lot of fun. But the line is telling us that the Dodgers are a big favorite in this one.
I mean, and I think over the last couple of years specifically, the Blue Jays have had the offense. They haven't been able to keep it together with injuries, and they've also been really hurting the pitching staff, and it's tough to get guys because of honestly, the tax structure in Canada. It's tougher to get free agents to go there. So they've been able to slowly kind of create this roster. Gosman, a huge addition. I think Scherzer, as a veteran, has made a big impact for this Blue Jays team, and this is the year that they kind of put it together. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. being the leader and the hero that he's kind of been expected to be for a long time. I think Bo Bichette, despite his defensive inefficiencies at times, kind of figured some things out offensively, cut his strikeout totals way down. Like you had mentioned, this Blue Jays team does not strike out a ton. However, they're running into a juggernaut. And I will say, how about this one? Just a personal touch. I've been to one playoff game this year for the Dodgers. It was the one game that they've lost all playoffs so far. So, I was there when Kershaw blew it up. I actually left in the middle of that inning. I'm a bad fan, but as soon as he blew it up in that game, I had to drive back to Vegas through the night. So I was like, all right, let's beat the traffic. We're out of here.
I was one of the few people that were like, take him out, please. Yes. Please save him. I don't want to watch this.
I was there. There were a few people.
Good.
There was 1,000 people next to me all around going, that the mood at Dodger Stadium shifted so badly. And I predicted on the drive home, I said that's probably the last time we'll ever see Clayton Kershaw pitch in a major league game. Unfortunately, Now, if we can get a storybook ending in a clinch game in the World Series where Clayton Kershaw comes in and gets the final 3 outs in like a blowout, that's as good as it gets.
I don't hate it at all. I really don't. Let's take a look at the lines for this series. As I mentioned, the Dodgers are a very big favorite. Ryan, what are you seeing on the buyback here at the South Point and other shops, what you can get if you do think Toronto is going to win this?
Well, full series, it is minus 240 on the Dodgers, and you're getting $2 here at the South Point if you think the Blue Jays will pull it out and win 4 of the 7. Good looking at Game 1 specifically, the Blue Jays are plus 130, Dodgers minus 145, totals at 7.5. Getting a plus price if you think the game will go over, plus 105, minus 125 the juice if you like the under.
Well, and I said to you, Alex, I think that getting Dodgers run line at plus money in Game 1, especially after some time off, they're a team where that time off isn't going to affect them as much. I think if the shoe were on the other foot and it were the Blue Jays, who are kind of in an unfamiliar position over the last couple of years that had to take almost a week off in between their championship series and the World Series, I think it'd be different. But this Dodgers team is veteran. They are rolling. I don't think there's really anything that can stop them. So plus 120 on the run line in Game 1, I actually really like that, even independent of the pitching matchup. Nothing officially confirmed yet. Of course, we can guess based on the past and previous rotations from series. But for the Dodgers, who knows? If Blue Jays kind of all hands on deck after a 7-game series as well. So I like Dodgers at plus money from the run line in Game 1.
I would imagine you have to go with Blake Snell, right, in Game 1 for the Dodgers. I mean, he's just been so dominant. Not to say that Yamamoto and Ohtani have not, but Blake Snell has had that spot. I imagine he's the game one. But for the Blue Jays, that's interesting because we just saw Kevin Gausman, as you mentioned, all hands on deck for that game
Literally.
7. He started in game 5, 91 pitches there, and then 19 last night. It is a lot of rest time, but I'm kind of curious if they switch it up a little. Maybe go with the rookie, Benya Savage, who's been awesome.
He's been
Maybe Max Scherzer, who we haven't seen in a little bit, but was dominant when we did see him in the postseason. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't know about the side yet. I'm not going to jump in. I like under 7.5 though, because the one weakness we're still seeing a little bit, Matt, and you can jump in on this, but with the Dodgers, the lineup is still a little blotchy, I guess you would say. I mean, they're getting timely hitting and they're getting it done, but they're not putting up a ton of runs.
No, not necessarily. And it was always going to be tough for them to score a lot against that Brewers pitching staff. The Brewers pitching staff might have been the best in baseball top to bottom when you include the starters, especially the bullpen. I mean, Milwaukee is the new Tampa Bay when it comes to taking other teams' trash and turning it into their treasure with their pitching philosophy and, you know, a lot of the really advanced stuff that they do with video tracking and sabermetrics. So I give credit to the Brewers. They're in a really tough contractual situation with a lot of their pitchers, especially Freddie Peralta and some of the other guys that really made a big-time impact. So it was always going to be tough for the Dodgers to score. That was never going to be a high-scoring series. I think that with the time off, maybe some little dings and dents on the Dodgers' bats will be able to, you know, kind of iron themselves out here with this almost week off. The Blue Jays pitching staff, not nearly what Milwaukee's was.
Well, and to your point, I'm glad that we are talking this through because I thought the Phillies had one of the top pitching staffs as well.
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't have Zach Wheeler. That could have changed a lot of things, but those 3 lefties that they had, I mean, the Dodgers had a hard time even in that series. So those back-to-back now go into the Toronto pitching staff. Maybe we'll see some more runs here.
The Dodgers have hit lefties well all year long. Freddie Freeman actually had one of the best seasons for a left-handed batter against left-handed pitching in Major League history. So it's really tough to play the handedness matchups, those you know, left on lefts, right on rights, especially when you get late into a game in a bullpen situation because the Dodgers have such a deep and well-balanced roster when they're all healthy and all hitting well that it's really tough to match up pitching against that lineup.
Should be a fun one. We'll be talking about it all week long until game 1 on Friday. Then game 2, of course, follows very next day on Saturday. I am curious, too, because there are some exactas out there with how many exact games. If you think that there is going to be a sweep, you can bet on all of these different things. Ryan, one more thing about the World Series before we move on.
Yeah, and Matt, I kind of just wanted your thoughts on I understand we're getting in a break here with game 1 being on Friday, but the Dodgers celebration winning the pennant was nothing compared to what the Blue Jays celebration just was. The Dodgers went about it as business as normal. They know that they want 4 more games to win before they can celebrate anything. But the Blue Jays absolutely celebrated getting the pennant, getting the franchise their first World Series appearance in 33 years. And at the first year, Vladdy getting it done of his 14-year contract. So obviously the Blue Jays had something to celebrate and a reason to celebrate more than the Dodgers did. But does that hunger not kind of falter a little bit there going into the World Series? Like, is it going to be too much pressure for the Blue Jays in these early games?
I mean, yes and no. I could definitely see both sides of it. I mean, you're talking about a Dodgers team going to their 5th World Series in the last 9 years, a lot of it with the same guys. So they've been there, they've done that. And this is, a veteran group. It's the highest paid group in baseball history. The Dodgers are ruining baseball, according to some. Dave Roberts had the quote of a lifetime when they clinched it. He said, "Let's go out there and ruin baseball some more." I thought that was awesome from Doc. It does show the difference in expectations, though. The Dodgers, it's like ho-hum, almost like in hockey. A team wins the conference, and they're like, "I'm not touching that trophy. I don't want that one." They had a funny one. Shohei Ohtani took his NLCS MVP trophy, and I saw a picture. He had it in the locker room. What did the
team effort?
Team effort. They had like a little plaque that said team effort, and he put it over his own name, which A, goes to show you about Shohei Ohtani, and B, I think shows you about the mindset of this team. They're like, yeah, I don't want that trophy. That's not the one that we want.
To your point, going back to the MVP, some pitchers have definitely been there before for Toronto, but George Springer is the only guy in the lineup, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it is a young team.
With
and
Houston, yeah.
Is that right, Ryan?
Yeah, and I kind of thought it was, symbolic of baseball. Baseball finds a way to find you, and I think for a franchise that had gotten it done in Toronto, for the guy to get them there was the guy that had been in the World Series before. For the Mariners, they didn't have that on their roster. And so it's kind of weird to see year after year. You kind of need to have that veteran presence of somebody who's been in the World Series
It
before
helps.
to get you there.
It helps, and I do feel terrible for the Mariners. I saw a video of Brian Wu getting interviewed after the game, and somebody in the background was just going nuts. You can see how much it meant to that franchise.
Apparently, that was Julio.
Wouldn't
screaming.
surprise me in the slightest. I mean, that guy's a gamer. And for this Mariners team, it felt like a team of destiny with Cal Raleigh, my man, big dumper, having the season that he had.
Yes.
And, now a lot of questions to be answered. They're still a young team. They still have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. I think when they're healthy, they have the single best starting rotation in Major League Baseball. So I don't think Cal Raleigh's going to hit 60 home runs again next year, but they're going to be back in a similar position. And I think going into next year, they're going to be the early favorites to win the AL West.
On Cofield and Company yesterday, I did throw out there, I was taking a piece of Julio Rodriguez to hit a home run because you could just see the emotion from him this entire series. And I mean, him and Cal Raleigh, to see them get one yesterday too was really nice. So it was a fun series between those three, but it was going to be a heartbreak for one or the other, right? Either or.
One's for a team that's never been there. One's for an entire nation. So someone was going to be heartbroken, yeah.
And how many years now since we have seen Toronto? Of course, since they went back to back, 92, 93.
No Joe Carter this year though. I don't think.
Nope. Matt's feeling pretty good, I think, for the Dodgers to go
four
back
or five
to back.
games. Four or five games. I mean, I've been at the one game that they lost all playoffs long, so as long as I'm not there,
I was going to say, you're staying
that'll
away.
be all right. Game 3 in LA Monday, maybe.
Monday, Ryan. Let's
Monday's the day,
mark
Ryan.
that down. Taking the
is it
plus
Monday?
money with
And then
Blue
I'll be
Jays.
back here Tuesday.
Well, I guess I kind of one comment to make is that when Neverett won the NL pennant with your dad, Tim Neverett, and an Neverett won the pennant with the PCL champions here in Las Vegas with the Aviators. So
Yes,
we got
sir.
2 rings in the Neverett family.
We'll take it.
Yeah, that is true. Very good.
A red letter year.
Well, let's recap quickly NFL from last night. I don't have a whole lot to talk about. Chris Andrews came in here. I know we feel terrible for the sports books. He said the only thing he didn't want was for both favorites to cover, and both favorites did just that. I think they probably did very well on the totals, though.
Yeah.
I was off on those. The first one, very high totals, stayed under, and that is the Bucks and the Lions. And then the defensive battle between Houston and Seattle, it had some garbage time scoring there at the end, 27-19, and that did go over the total. So, Matt, anything for you in those 2 games?
I mean, really, from a betting standpoint, I had nothing. From a fantasy football standpoint, I had both Nico Collins and Mike Evans on one of my teams, so that was a bad night for me. Teams showing who they are. Both the Lions and the Seahawks getting to 5-2. I think both of them defying expectations a little bit. I think the Lions were expected by a lot of folks to take a step back this year, and with the Seahawks, the questions at quarterback coming into the season. How about Sam Darnold? He's shown he's downright dependable, if not proficient.
Yes. No, really. JSN, though, top receiver,
Big
definitely
time.
in
and
the
he's
league.
turning in. Yeah, I was going to say he's turning into one of the top 3 receivers in the league. He's always been a guy that's been, very, very good. He was in one of the best wide receiving rooms of all time at the college game at Ohio State. He's a much better football player than his brother Caden is a baseball player. As a Pirates guy, I know that one. But JSN, quickly turning into one of the top receivers in the NFL with Sam Darnold as his quarterback. Imagine saying that a couple years ago.
Yep.
Just something I wanted to kind of jump in on Jackson Smith and Jig, but he now is up to 5 100 plus yard receiving games this season.
Oh my God.
We just finished week 7. He is 1 game behind the Seahawks record of 100 yard receiving games in a season, behind Steve Largent, who had 6.
Oh my God.
So he's now tied with Tyler Lockett with 5 and DK Metcalf at 5. So very easily on pace to be the greatest receiving season in Seattle Seahawks history.
Wow.
And Alex, you had mentioned that Chris Andrews yesterday had said that the thing that the books did not need was both favorites to cover or win big. And in fact, that was the last 2 legs of somebody's 10-leg parlay on this ties win card. $40 won them $20,000.
Oh my goodness.
Going after last night's Monday Night Football game. So big winner there.
Hey, that's how
Big
you know.
winner.
That's how you know it wasn't me that cashed that ticket, because I'm here working today.
That's right. Any thoughts on that first game? I think we kind of all saw that coming. Weird spot for the Bucks, but surprisingly, they couldn't get much done even when they did have Mike Evans out there, and the Lions were banged up, their secondary going into that game, but That was a very physical game between those two, Ryan. A lot of emotions flying on both sides throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, we said it was going to be physical. We said it was going to be sloppy. These two teams have been fighting for postseason life the last 3 years against each other. So a lot of going into this one, and Jahmyr Gibbs took it over. I had picked the wrong running back last night. The other RB2 in the other game, in the Seattle game, had 2 touchdowns and Zach Charbonnet. So genuinely just picked the wrong one there. But the Lions are very easily the most dominant team in the NFC. And they didn't play their best last night. They had Jared Goff turn the ball over, and they had turnovers on downs. So obviously it could have been a lot better for the Lions, but yeah, very much a dominant win.
Well, and I think it shows that they can win ugly. You know, they've had to win ugly over the last couple of years. Aaron Glenn and that defense have really struggled. So they've had to win some high-scoring, high-flying games with Jared Goff throwing for 3, 4, 5 touchdown passes. But I think this shows the versatility of this team when they need to kind of switch things up and they need to slow the game down and they need to limit the number of possessions. That's exactly what they did. You know, of course, having Jahmyr Gibbs go for a buck, what was it, 136 and 2 touchdowns helps. You're not going to get that every game, but they've got the two-headed monster at running back. I think that's probably the best 1 and 2 tandem as far as running backs go in the NFL. And, you know, to your point, Ryan, it's kind of a 50-50 shot each week depending on who's going to get the most touches. It just happened to be Gibbs last night.
Yeah, 218 scrimmage yard from Gibbs.
That's crazy.
Absolutely.
Forgot about all the receptions, too,
Yeah, and I did say the Bucs are pretty good against the run, and that did not happen. But the Lions need to show this against the Eagles and maybe the Commanders when it comes to the postseason, because you said these two fighting each other, beating each other up, and then the Eagles are making it to the Super Bowl every year.
Lions do have the bye this week, so they knew that they were going to have that coming out of what was expected to be a physical game. So kind of going out there, executing a game plan. And I'm sure Dan Campbell's getting coffee this morning with his tiny little dog. Have you ever seen those pictures?
I have not.
His wife has a dog that's like the size of the microphone. And he always posts pictures after wins. He goes to Starbucks the next morning with the little dog in his lap, and it's just the perfect juxtaposition between, you know, manly man who screams and yells and pushes other people around, and then just the tiniest, daintiest little dog.
Yeah, the man that bites off kneecaps.
Yeah, literally.
Tiny little poodle. I love it.
He bites off more kneecaps than the dog.
Last thing, just for that second game, pretty impressive for Seattle because they did lose the turnover battle. Houston's defense is for real, but we've talked about their O-line struggles, and they just really couldn't get anything done offensively, but their defense showed up, and they made it tough for the Seahawks, but the Seahawks still found a way. So NFC is definitely looking like the dominant conference right now. AFC a little bit down. Let's go through the Week 8 lines. We're going to go through sides and totals where they sit right now here at the South Point. First, Thursday night, 2 teams coming off a loss. The 3-3 Minnesota Vikings, the 2-3, is that correct? I think I punched that in wrong. 4-3, that's why. The 4-3 Chargers.
They got a couple of buys already.
And they need one here. They're 3-point favorite at home. I think it is going to be Carson Wentz again. Total 44.5 for this Thursday night matchup. As I mentioned, both of them coming off losses, trying to get right here.
I mean, and with what we've seen from J.J. McCarthy and his limited playing time, are they that much worse off with Carson Wentz? At least so far?
I don't think so.
I think J.J. McCarthy's a fine quarterback. I think he was, massively overrated coming out of college because of the system he was in and because of that dominant defense and Jim Harbaugh literally doing whatever it took to win a championship that year. But
then Jim Harbaugh promoting him to get drafted pretty early.
I just don't.
Campaigning, I should say.
I don't think that they're that much worse off. I just don't think that they're a very good team as it stands right now.
No, I agree. I think they are getting healthier because they have been dealing with a ton of injuries, and they do have some of the best wide receivers, and Addison's really stepping up now that he is back. And it'll be interesting here. I'm worried about the Chargers. I mean, they started so hot for the season, and now they can't get that O-line fixed. Well, and their running back room,
it's a mess.
Yeah.
Well, the Vikings have such a proclivity for playing in tight games, no matter what, no matter who they're playing, home or road. So I think if you like the Chargers in this one, 2.5 is what they're giving. Moneyline at -160. If you've got a little bit of extra bankroll, I would actually much rather spend a little bit extra and take the money line on this one. The Chargers, they don't have that put away ability as of yet. Justin Herbert, is as skilled and I think as poised as any quarterback in the league, but he doesn't have that killer instinct like we're talking about with Dan Campbell, for instance. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have that foot on the throat, finish a team off. We really haven't seen that too much from this Chargers team. We're talking Harbaugh. Got to get him in there here. Also, just as a sidebar, I love the Chargers uniform combos typically, like 99% of the time. I did not like the all yellows last week.
I didn't either.
They looked more orange. They looked almost like the Buccaneers creamsicles. That's how kind of weirdly orange the yellow was, and it looked better in the photo shoots than it did on the field.
Agree with that.
I will say the Chargers powder blue, white helmet, best jersey combo in the league, and I actually am a fan of their all dark kind of color rush uniforms with the yellow on the sleeve.
Love those ones as well.
Did not like the all yellow unis last week. That's why they didn't do so well.
I agree with that. I do. Now 0-1 in the new all yellow uniforms.
But they looked more like the Bolts.
Yeah,
The nickname is the Bolts.
Yeah.
that's
They
why
look
they've
like
never
a
won.
lightning
That's
bolt.
why they've never won a Super Bowl. Maybe they should keep changing things up.
Maybe.
Let's keep running through some of these lines here for Week 8. Jets and Bengals. You want to jump in here, Matt?
There's some weird ones. I mean, these are, I don't want to say two of the worst teams. The Jets are probably the worst team in the NFL. I was going to say you hate to see it, but I like to see it. I like it when the Jets are bad as a Patriots guy. Fortunately, it happens more often than not, and I make sure Jeff Parles hears about it. However, I think that in this game, we've seen Joe Flacco look really good through his first couple of outings with the Bengals. This might be almost a look-ahead spot for them. I could see the Jets are going to win a game. They're not going to go winless. I think that they're going to win a game. I think if there is one that they could surprise some people, this might be the one catching almost 6 points, and I'm sure that this line's going to swell. I think this is one where if you're going to try to catch a good number on the Jets, if there is such a thing, wait until closer to the game, because I think that this number is going to swell to over a touchdown. And if you can get it over 7.5 points, I may lean Jets in this game.
Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would throw it on a teaser leg then and get
go.
6 more points,
you
because I
go.
think you might need double digits for the Jets and just how that franchise is right now.
I could see it as a teaser spot. So if you wait
bit of
till
a mess.
you get it over a touchdown, you go up to 6, and you're getting 13 points.
There we go.
I like that actually a lot better.
Yeah, might be a good one to throw in there. How about Houston and the Niners up next with we don't have a line here, do we, Ryan? You see one for the Texans? Of course, did just play last night.
Yeah, it's a pick.
Okay.
So it opened
Oh my
Texans
goodness.
-1 at home, but now it's a pick.
Ooh, so people are taking the recency bias into effect in this one for sure. And the 49ers, as banged up as they are, have looked really good with Mac Jones. I think that this is the Mac Jones that the Patriots thought that they were going to get.
Yes, it is.
And when the Patriots drafted him, they threw him into the fire. He didn't have an offensive line, barely had a defense. This 49ers team has more of those things. They're just all banged up right now. And do we know Fred Warner's status? What's his? Is he out weeks? Done?
Yeah,
He's out for the year.
He's out for the
Okay.
year.
So it was the one thing that I wanted to double check on with that. But so, that obviously affects the defense. I think C.J. Stroud has actually kind of regressed this year from where a lot of people had expected. And I think that this 49ers team with a little bit of extra rest will have an opportunity to game plan for this Texans team coming into this one on a short week. They're 1-1 at home. They don't really have a home field advantage. Haven't really played a lot of home games yet. So, 49ers in this game, I think, have a really good shot, especially as a pick'em. This is kind of the opposite of that Jets one. I think if you like the Niners, take it now, because I could see this one swelling in the opposite direction to where the 49ers are, giving up 2 or 3 points on the road in Houston, in the Dome. I think that the indoor nature of this game actually really helps Mac Jones and this 49ers offense out as well.
It's interesting. 42.5 down to 41 here for the total. And I agree with that. I just was talking about Houston's defense, and the Niners are playing very slow and methodical and by design. So I would only be looking under, but I don't know. 41, that's the total we had yesterday too. Makes me a little nervous.
I think a game like that benefits the 49ers greatly. You limit the touches for C.J. Stroud. He's at his best when he's throwing for volume. When he airs it up, 40, even 50 times a game, that's when he can get really dangerous, especially when you let him use his legs. So if you can limit the possessions that the Texans have in a game like this, I think that actually, that style bodes well for the 49ers no matter what.
Nico Collins, though, we do need to keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
But
if he plays, that makes it tougher. If he's out, Texans offense really struggling with options in the passing game.
Definitely. I think Ryan's agreeing with that, right?
Ryan's in.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with those sentiments. And Matt had kind of, at his first mention was the recency bias, and I kind of think that's what we see with the total. Open 42.5, down to 41, down a 1.5. That was the first move, no half move. So down to 41 there. And we saw the defensive battles with the Niners against the Falcons. And last night, the Texans really weren't able to move the ball and kind of were able to stop the Seahawks temporarily at points. But yeah, I think we'll get a defensive battle in that one. And yeah, I definitely see it going to the Niners' favorite.
Let's go to your team next here, catching 6.5 against the Baltimore Ravens. 6.5 is a Lamar Jackson in number. But we still don't know. He did not practice yesterday. The total is 50.5. Ryan, what are you thinking in this one?
Total, is up a full point, open 49.5, up to 50.5. This one, I'm going to think that the Bears are going to be able to cover this 6.5 as long as Lamar Jackson doesn't play. The only worry is can they stop Derrick Henry? And they've been able to do a nice job the last couple of weeks is being able to stop the rush and being able to force turnovers. In the beginning of this year, Derrick Henry had a problem with fumbling the football, and if it's going to be a backup quarterback, then we're going to have an issue throwing interceptions. So if the Bears are able to force turnovers in this game, I have no reason why they can't win this game on the road outright. And another thing to look at with the Ravens is they're going to have a short week. They have to play on the road at Miami next week on Thursday. So if you're going to bring Lamar Jackson in with very little practice time against a physical front like the Bears, he's going to be pretty bruised on Thursday going into Miami.
I think this is another one, kind of like the Jets. If you are going to make a teaser early in the week, Bears, Jets included in your teaser, especially with the line like this. If Lamar Jackson does play, that line's going to swell even more. But who knows? To your point, I don't think he will play. If there is a quarterback in the league that has the autonomy to say, no, I'm in, I'm going to do it, it's Lamar Jackson. He don't need no stinking agent. He's ready to go. And he's, like I said, one of the guys where if he's good, he's going to play, even if he's at 80%. He gives them a much, much better chance to win. So actually, you know what? If the prediction is that he's going to play, maybe wait and throw it in the teaser, because that line's going to get even bigger. Because like you said, 6.5 is assuming he's in, but tentatively, if he's good to go, that'll move the line a whole point. This one's so weird, though. You remove the team names, you remove the situations. You see a 4-2 team catching a touchdown against a 1-5 team who's 1-3 at home. It's just a weird scenario, but that's what you get with the injury news and the Bears being the Bears. Sorry.
Well, and you just set it up perfectly that this is the most desperate team that you have right now in the NFL is the Baltimore Ravens. Cincinnati finds a way to beat the Steelers with Joe Flacco, right? So this division is getting away from the Browns. Just won on Sunday too. So I think you're right. I think this will go above that 7 once it is confirmed that he is playing.
Yeah, and the question is which Lamar Jackson are you getting? And like I said, I think Lamar Jackson at 80% or better gives you a better chance than just about every other quarterback in the league, especially with what we've seen over the last couple of weeks from Baltimore. And yeah, this division in particular, the AFC North, is as tight and has had as much parity over the last handful of years as any in football. So they know the situation here in a non-divisional game. They have to start racking up some wins until the end of the season when they're playing all divisional games just about for Baltimore.
We'll see what happens with them. As I mentioned, very, very desperate right now. Of course, the favorite to win that division and one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl going into the season. So a lot of things have gone wrong. We're seeing now in week 8 some separation. So we're seeing much bigger spreads than we have seen all year long. So going to the Falcons, laying a touchdown at home against Miami here, which Atlanta didn't look great against the Niners, but back at home where they are much better, Matt, and the Dolphins are a complete mess now. It looks like the bettors are taking the 7. So if you like the Dolphins, look for 7, shop around. And if you like the Falcons, get under that 7 here at 6.5.
Is this the swan song for Mike McDaniel? Is this it? If they let's just say they get blown out. Let's say they lose by 2 or 3 touchdowns. They'll be 0-5 on the road. They'll have 1 win this year. Tua isn't shaking out to be what they thought he was going to be. And, if anyone's going to get the can, it's going to be the head coach over the quarterback in that situation, at least during the season. But, just the demeanor on the sideline, too, for Mike McDaniel. He looks like the police sketch of D.B. Cooper. You remember? Have you seen that one with the hood and the glasses? And he's just sitting there like he's giving people the cold shoulder. He may as well have told Quinn Ewers to head back to the locker room after he got his first professional snaps. I don't know if you saw that. He came over and, if you're a quarterback, you just played your first 3 professional snaps, you're coming off the field, you would expect some kind of an attaboy.
Yeah.
Nothing. Literally cold shoulder. He walked, right by him. He's sitting there. He is sullen. And I don't think that's a word that's ever been used to describe Mike McDaniel on an NFL sideline before. It is dire straits for the Dolphins. And I think that they're awful. This AFC East all of a sudden shaking out to be a pretty bad division top to bottom. I thought there'd be a lot more parity.
Yes.
And the Falcons, I think that they give it to Bijan. They give it to him a little bit more, and then they keep feeding him throughout this game. I think that this is the Bijan Robinson game after a slow week last weekend, and I don't think the Dolphins are big enough or physical enough on that defensive front to stop them.
I'll tell you what, skipping Bijan, and when I had the third pick in drafts for fantasy and going with Saquon or Derrick Henry down the board, I'm really regretting that. I think he continues this all year long, and we've really seen him step up to the running back that
Absolutely.
we've seen in the past. But I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to fire him even after a loss here. I think they're going to just hang on and kind of lose this season. Ryan, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's time to move on from Mike McDaniel. I mean, just watching him, and let alone on the sideline during games, but listening to him in press conferences, he sounds lost and
Sounds
he has
disinterested.
no desire to be there whatsoever. But for this one, we just saw the Dolphins get blown out by the Browns, and we just watched the Falcons lose on the road to the Niners. And now you have the Falcons coming back home, should be fired up, a much better offense than what the Browns have. I tend to think, the Falcons are going to run the Dolphins out of the building in this one, and Mike McDaniel shouldn't get on the plane back to Miami.
Well, you think that they tarmac him?
I would. It's been really bad. He shouldn't have been the coach going into this year, and for it to go on this long and sound this bad, look this bad, it's not a good look for the organization entirely.
Well, and here's the question. So week 9, they're the ones hosting the Ravens on Thursday night. Do you fire your coach going into a short week? I think that is a very, very tough proposition. If they lose this week and next week, then I'd tarmac him. The thing is that he's going to make a great coordinator somewhere. He's going to be a phenomenal offensive coordinator. But it's a classic example, and we see it time and time again. Guy who's an outstanding coordinator just doesn't have the chops and really the interpersonal skills to be a head coach. There's so much balancing personalities and, riding that balance of, getting on guys versus letting pros be pros and letting vets be vets and kind of run the team. And especially when it comes to running a coaching staff. I think that's one thing that doesn't get talked about enough. You got to manage the personalities of the players, but in the NFL, it is a personality-driven league, especially when it comes to your coaching staff. And Mike McDaniel, great guy to be a coordinator, very innovative offensive mind, but that's about where it stops for him.
Yeah, the high-flying offense, of course, no Tyreek Hill, and as you mentioned, too, has definitely regressed with all of the concussion, so it's just been a mess. Let's go to another team in that division that has been struggling, 4-2 Bills up against the Panthers here. Carolina has been feisty. They are 4-3 on the year, catching 7.5, Matt. Total 46. I don't think this one's seen much movement yet.
Yeah, and I like over in this one. Bills coming off of a bye week. The Panthers have been, decent offensively. We saw Andy Dalton get into the game last week, so there's a win in and of itself.
I believe it will be him again.
Yeah, I think even with that, this offense has actually been rolling, so at least by their standards, so to speak. And I think that Josh Allen and the Bills coming off of that bye, I think they put up 30+ on their own. So if you think that the Panthers, score a touchdown or two, I like over in this game, especially with a rested Bills team. We're starting to see the AFC be pretty top heavy with some unexpected teams, talking about the Colts and the Patriots. Yep. So for the Bills, they know that they need to not only win, but start really rolling offensively and start rattling off some big time blowouts.
Yeah, this is the only game so far that has yet to move on a number. So the opened 7.5 and Buffalo favorite, and the total opened at 46. But yeah, I'm right there with you, Matt. The Bills on an extended rest going into a soft Carolina defense. And their offense has shown that they can put up points. So 46 seems a little too low to me.
Well, one, it means that guys like Chris Andrews and the rest of the bookmakers did a great job setting that number.
Pretty good at this.
And two, keep in mind, the Panthers are 3-0 at home this year. They're one of the better home teams so far by record. So they play well in Charlotte, and I think that offensively that translates well. And if you're talking weather, now we're getting into that time of year where weather matters. Still really nice weather that part of the country this time of the year, so I don't think that's going to be a factor for a Bills team that has to deal with that just about the rest of the season. So I think points will be aplenty here in this one. I'll be interested to see how much it moves on both the side and the total.
Ryan, you were excited to talk about this next one. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Of course, the Giants coming off of the collapse, and they also already beat the Eagles on Thursday night. Philly looked like they figured some things out. They're a 7-point favorite at home, total 43.5.
Yeah, and it's NFC East divisional matchup. The Giants just beat them on Thursday night 2 weeks ago. And the Eagles have that revenge angle. The Giants have the heartbreak loss going from Denver to now to Philly. I tend to think that this is going to be a tighter game. The Giants have shown that they can do things offensively and defensively. They can control the line of scrimmage. It's just a matter of whether or not they're able to control the clock, which they have not been able to do at all this season, let alone last week. And the Eagles are a much better coach team. I will give Nick Sirianni an edge over Brian Daboll, regardless of all the questions you may have of Nick Sirianni. But this one, I can't confidently give you a side. I tend to lean to the Giants getting the points, but again, it is on the road in Philly. But the total here has opened at 42.5 and is now up a point to 43.5.
And I'm glad you brought up the coaching angle, because I was going to say the exact same thing. I think it matters in a divisional game like this, especially in an earlier start for the Eagles. And, the one thing that Giants haven't been able to do this year is win on the road. They're 0-4 when playing away from New Jersey, where they play, not New York. The Bills, the only team in New York. But I digress. But I think this divisional matchup, I could see it being close. I while we have been on the air, have convinced myself on this 3-leg teaser. We're throwing the Giants in, baby. We're going Giants, and we're going Jets, and we're going Bears.
Oh, God. That
Early
sounds
week,
disgusting.
3-leg dog teaser. I'm jumping in head first here back on the show. We're going with just the grossest teaser. I haven't played it yet. I'll play something like that. I'm not gonna give it out as an official play on Tuesday. But again, I think that these divisional games, especially with it being the second matchup in 3-4 weeks between these two sides, I think that familiarity, the saying is familiarity breeds contempt. I think in this case, familiarity breeds a close game. I think if you're going to throw it in a teaser, I actually really like the Giants to keep it within 2 touchdowns. But I give the edge in terms of strictly winning the game. I like the Eagles. I like them by maybe 10 points. I think that they cover the actual number. 7.5 though is such a tough hook once it gets up to that number. In a divisional game, it's really hard. I am a teaser guy. I am a dog teaser guy, especially if you can get it up over 2 touchdowns. So think about that one. Giants, Jets, Bears. Hold your nose on that one.
I like it. I thought for sure the Broncos was a great play last Sunday, because I thought that this Giants power rating was a little inflated now. With Jackson Dart and Scatterboo feeling good.
Just because the quarterback and running back are exciting.
But it's not. I mean, they should have won that game, and Denver didn't cover. So I think right now maybe there's still some value.
The question there, though, is does that say more about the Giants or more about the Broncos? Because I think there's merit to both of those. I don't think the Broncos are as good as they really should be. It's so tough. I want Sean Payton to do well. I used to live in Denver, love the Broncos, got a lot of buddies that are Broncos fans. I think their jerseys have gone backwards. I don't like the orange. I don't like their jerseys. We're talking jerseys today. I'm a fashion guy. But yeah, I think the Broncos should be so much better than they are.
I agree. I had them winning that division, and we've seen signs of it, but you can't have fourth quarter comebacks over and over and expect. Ryan, you had one more thought on this one.
Yeah, one additional note here for the Eagles. They're getting a guy out of retirement.
Yes.
Captain Brandon Graham,
right.
linebacker, coming back out of retirement, joining the Eagles defense. And
does that make them that much better?
A huge divisional matchup.
Does that make them that much better, though?
No. But it is
a great storyline.
But it is a great leadership addition for that locker room that needs it.
Yeah,
and so, yeah.
Longest tenured Eagle of all time.
Wow.
14 years. How about that?
Well, there you go. Like Ryan said, good presence there in the locker room.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, take it away. Patriots, it's all the hype about Drake May. They're looking really good.
MVP, maybe not.
With Coach Vrabel, they're 7-point favorite. That's the theme of the week. Total 40.5 now. The Browns have been pretty competitive with Dylan Gabriel. He hasn't been fantastic, but they have been competitive.
And I do think that this is the part of the season as we get into the middle of the schedule where you start to see just these disgusting 6.5 to 7.5 point spreads be, a lot more plentiful. I think the Patriots in this one are a deserved 7.5 point favorite. Maybe not MVP for Drake May, but he is kind of showing that second year step forward. There's always that question mark after a pretty good rookie year for any quarterback of, do they go take that next step? Do they have the sophomore slump? The latter is way more often the case. You see so many guys take that step back in year two, especially when they get a whole year of tape on you. But Drake May's been the opposite. He has gone forward. He has led this team. Mike Vrabel has been the best coaching hire in the NFL. I think my front runner for coach of the year right now, a little bias in there. But right now, second place in the AFC at 5-2, right behind the 5-1 Colts, which I think at season start, you would have told me those two. I would have said, all right, I got a bridge in London to sell you or whatever the saying goes about that. But Mike Vrabel has done a great job of re-energizing this team that hasn't had any juice since that 2019 season when Tom Brady left for Tampa Bay. Drake May, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's been really efficient. He has held the ball because the running back room has struggled to do just that. They've had a lot of fumbles early in the year. A lot of the turnover bug has been, figured out, so to speak, and the defense has been outstanding. I really like this Patriots team to compete with the Bills, and that's something that even I hadn't been able to say over the last couple of years. I think that this week they're able to win. They are the kings, though, of winning but not covering. I say that having, bet on my team often. Ryan knows that feeling very well. But the Patriots, they're 1-2 at home this year. And this will be a big-time matchup, kind of a prove-it game against a Bills team that, on paper, they are better than. Dylan Gabriel is not going to give them, I don't think, too many problems on that defensive side of the ball. So if Drake May can go out there and lead this offense to 24, maybe, if he can get them to 24, 25 points, I think that's all they're going to need. I could see this game being pretty low scoring as well as the weather starts to turn. And the total reflects that. I'm seeing 40 and a half is the number. I think that's one that's going to go up throughout the week. This is another one where if you're going to like the under on this game, which I do, wait until Sunday morning and take it.
Well, one way we can get to the under is by a plenty of carries by the running backs. And the question that I have for you, Matt, is your team's running back room has been a bit of a question the last few weeks. They're one of their star rookies, high draft pick, Travion Henderson, has been losing snap counts week after week, only got 18% of snaps this past week. Well, do you have any thoughts on what that running back room is turning into and why Travion Henderson isn't getting usage?
Like I said, too, about this point of the schedule, you're starting to see not only some touchdown and 7.5 point numbers more often than not, you're also starting to see some attrition, some little nagging injuries. And I don't know necessarily if that's the case for Travion Henderson. I think some of what the decision has been to not have him touch the ball as much is the issues with the fumbles. And it's one of the things that, throughout the season you'll work on. Ramondre Stevenson, if that is your go-to guy that's going to get all the touches, that's not a bad option. I think Henderson a little bit more dynamic around the outsides in the run game, which the Patriots have actually showed a pretty diverse rushing attack, especially with the bodies that they've been able to put in there. It's not a long-term worry. Again, he's a rookie out of a big-time program. Didn't, really have a ton of experience in college. He was one of those guys that came out pretty early. So I think career-wise, he's going to be fine. It's just working through some of those kinks, almost like a welcome to the NFL moment that spans over a couple of week stretch for a guy like Travion Henderson. But with Drake May kind of transforming into the franchise quarterback he was expected to be, and the all of a sudden stability of this coaching staff that was not stable for a couple of years, I think they're going to be just fine in that running back room. I mean, and they have got a great offensive line as well. Will Campbell turning out to be one of the best first-round picks of the year. I think that makes a huge difference in both the running and the passing game. That you don't talk about the first round draft pick linemen as much. It's one of those things you don't talk about them unless they're on one end of the scale or the other, really good or really bad. So I think that the running back rotation is going to be just fine. I actually really like Travion Henderson late in the year, especially you give him a little bit of time off, maybe not off, but dip his touches down a little bit at this point. Then he's ready to go weeks 12 through 18, like no problem.
You guys just brought this to my attention. We've got Judkins versus Henderson here.
Yeah, there you go.
So, let's take the under and see who gets the most touches here between these two. But let's keep going here. Let's go to New Orleans. The Saints are catching 4.5 at home against the Bucks, who are coming off a tough loss and a very physical game against the Lions. Ryan, looks like we're seeing that number move, 4.5 or 5, total 47.
Yeah, not necessarily on the move of people taking the Saints, but it opened Bucks -6, now down to Bucks -4.5. Have to think that's more the injuries moving it down. Because we jumped from 6 to 5 to now 4.5. So I have to think that jump was because of injuries, and then the half was because of movement. But total also down 48.5 to now 47.
And I like the Bucks, even with the number. I mean, honestly, is this one that the UC keep sliding down and getting closer to a pick'em as the week goes?
I don't know. I think that was the buyback spot right there, right?
Is this the best line that you're going to get on the Bucks? Is today or tomorrow?
No, they might. I mean, that's kind of a dead number there, but we did see 4.5 for a second. Yeah. So maybe some sharps come back in.
I do like
Saints at home getting 5.
I like the Bucks. I like the Bucks in this one. And even if it gets up to 5, even like 6 points, I think the Bucks are the better team. The Saints almost at this point, you're getting to that point of the year too, where what's their incentive to win? I mean, literally, it's one of those ones where the incentive is to lose between them and a couple of these other teams at the bottom of the standings vying for a pretty strong quarterback class in the draft next year. what is the incentive for the Saints to win? Of course, they're going to go out there and try to win. They're professionals, but I think the Buccaneers are a better team. They've also been playing without Mike Evans for 3 of the last 4 weeks anyway. He's going to be out some extended time. I think Emeka Egbuka, one of the more underrated wide receivers in the league. Although I do think we see a lot of points in this game. Alvin Kamara really has not had that breakout game in the rushing attack for the Saints yet. And I don't know if that necessarily bodes well for the over, but I do think this is a game where he figures it out at home. But I like the Bucs, and I may take this one early in the week if we think that the money's going to start swinging the other way, because I don't know if you're going to get a better line than 4.5. If it gets under 4, I'm all over it.
Right. No, and you make some good points. I mean, they have been without Mike Evans. It's just kind of a weird spot.
Yeah.
Short week. I don't
Divisional
love
game,
that, but
2 teams coming off of pretty bad losses last week overall.
Yeah.
We'll see.
how about this one? 14. I think is one of the few 2-touchdown spreads we've seen so far this year. The Colts at home, though, laying 14 against the 1-6 Titans. Of course, this is a nice division matchup for the AFC South, Ryan. Total 47.
Yeah, total's up 2 points, open 45, now to 47. One note here, the Colts have one of the best offenses through 7 weeks in NFL history. They are scoring over a field goal per drive, scoring 3.48 points per drive. Insane.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, this offense is doing incredible things behind Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones and Tyler Warren. But you heard it from Cam Ward earlier this year. The Titans are ass, so I wouldn't be playing them this weekend.
And the Titans are in the same boat as the Saints as far as what do they have to win for. The only issue is that the Titans just drafted a quarterback number 1, so they're not going back to the well on that. And a lot of people, and I think if the numbers are out at a different book on comeback player of the year, I think Daniel Indiana Jones is the favorite for that. I think we need to adjust the criteria for comeback player of the year, because what's he coming back from? A bad coaching staff?
Right.
It should be an injury, or I don't know how you would change that. But for Daniel Jones to win comeback player of the year, maybe most improved or best change of scenery. There's the award for Daniel Jones. He's coming back from sucking. And that's we've seen that in years past. I think we need to redefine that award. And that's not to take away from what he's doing. What he's been able to do under former UNLV Rebel Frank Reich has been awesome. I like the Colts, and it's mostly because my whole childhood, the Patriots just used to beat them up and win in the playoffs against them all the time. So I've always got a soft spot for the Colts. So that AFC South is actually really intriguing right now, even behind the Colts. Maybe
the Titans get kind of a second game bump from firing the coach, because they kind of did against your Patriots to start the game.
Now, this is one that on a teaser, I'm staying the hell away from.
I can't fault you there. And just to let everybody know, so Tennessee did release Tyler Lockett, as well as he did ask for that. Yeah. And so now they're down another receiver there.
Does that matter, though? I don't think so.
I don't know. Let's move on here. Matt, you take this one to start. Broncos,
I'll be nice.
3.5 at home. I'm sick of saying this is the spot for Denver and making excuses for them, over the pond. Now they're coming back home. They started slow again against the Giants. What are we expecting this one? Dallas is playing good, especially offensively, and that is why we are seeing a total at 50.
Yeah, this one's going to be high flying. I don't think there's going to be too many stops in this game overall. The Broncos don't have a problem with scoring. Their problem is when it gets late in games is stopping the other team. And I think that it's going to be close. This one is going to be really tight. I mean, I don't know. What was the game earlier that I was mentioning? Oh, the Thursday night game. You get the Chargers at 3. I'd rather lay the money line on that one. This one is a tough. I don't know if I'm going to lay 160 on the Broncos. I'm not confident enough that they're going to be able to make the stops late in games. I could see this one being a walk-off field goal for Dallas, one way or the other. I'm not necessarily picking a side yet. Still early in the week. I need to see some injury news, and I'd be interested to see how this line moves before I touch it. If it gets under 3, maybe take a look at the Broncos, but I could see this one swinging the other way. You don't often see the Cowboys having a line move towards them on the road in an atmosphere like Denver, but this is the week that I could see it.
No, I agree. Ryan, anything for you between these two?
This one opened at 48, and in less than 2 days, it's gone up 2 points.
So everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, so exactly believing in this Cowboys offense to be what carries them in this game. But Alex, do you remember Chris made a point earlier this year of laying the 3 and taking the 3.5, right? That was kind of his point.
laying the 3.5.
Laying the 3.5 and taking the 3?
It's the line's kind of telling you,
Okay.
right?
Interesting.
So the 3, so essentially would be more confident in
In
Denver
the favorite in
case?
this one because he's saying if the sharps like the dog, that 3.5 would be gone pretty
Interesting.
much.
That is,
And it would just be at a 3.
Does it make a difference how like timing like this early in the week does a 3.5 mean more or less than it would on a Saturday night, for instance?
Yeah, I'm sure. But I guess by Saturday night, if it's still there, then that's really telling.
Yeah. So the later in the week it stays 3.5. If this goes to 4 though, think about it. I would say think about it with the Cowboys as soon as this thing gets over 3 in the hook.
It looks so it headed or it moved that way. It opened 3, now to 3.5, but it looks like the majority of money or percentage money is on Dallas. So we might get back to 3.
Interesting.
And it might just be sitting here at a toggler between 3 and 3.5.
That's going to be one to keep an eye out throughout the week.
Well, that's because I think a lot of people that have power ratings, like myself, have Denver in the top 10, maybe top 7, but they haven't really been performing like that. And that kind of leads us to the last game, the Sunday night game, and that's the Green Bay Packers. And I have heard this a lot, but might be a little bit of a glitch because I even have the Packers top 5. Haven't really been playing like that, especially on the road. They're laying 3 points, Ryan, against Pittsburgh, who's coming off a tough division loss, total 45.
Yeah, this one has toggled already. It went opened 3, went to 3.5, and now back to 3. And the total has gone from 43.5 up to 45. So definitely believing in the offenses in this one, at least so far throughout this week.
And it's very interesting to see which of these games catches the early action. I always like keeping an eye out of these Monday, Tuesday lines when they come out, which ones move as quickly as they do. And it's typically the bigger, more popular teams like the Packers and the Steelers. We just talked about it with the Broncos and the Cowboys. Those are probably 2 of the other 5 most popular teams in the NFL. So those ones, just by the popularity of the teams, always end up catching a lot of the sharp money by default early in the week. Packers love playing in close games. I think that's one thing we've learned. I think that does bode well for them in a playoff spot. Those are the types of games you got to win come playoff time. And I think the Packers, I still think that they're the youngest roster in the NFL by average age. To play at those tough games, especially on the road early in the season, bodes well for them late in the season. And Aaron Rodgers has been actually really surprisingly downright good for the Steelers offensively. This one's another one that I'm going to be interested to keep an eye on. Just by out of virtue, I guess, the Steelers catching 3.5 at home. If you like 3.5 for a home team, that's the other one. So 3.5 for a home favorite. I think early in the week, I actually really do agree with Chris's point. I think the Steelers catching 3.5 at home, I kind of go against that. I'd rather have the Steelers to win by a touchdown, if not more, at home against this Packers team that hasn't really been challenged too much on the road. That one tie came on the road. They've got one road win this year, and I think the Steelers have one of the better home field advantages in the NFL, especially here before the weather turns in the Steel City.
No, you make great points. I mean, the defense has been very good, but on the road, we saw them tie against Dallas and get into a shootout there. But we haven't really seen that offense.
And do we think 44.5? Is that still what the number is? 43.5? What's the updated total on that one, Ryan?
45.
45. So that one just keeps going up. That might be one that I'd wait and try to catch go against the money later in the week. Like we'll see if it'll get up to 47. Is that too much of a move? I don't know why I exaggerated it like that, but if it can get up over 46, maybe go against the money and take the under later in the week.
I don't mind that at all. And we've seen so far this year that the Packers have struggled to score on the road and struggled in the first half on the road. So it might be a good look to under in the first half. We saw them in Cleveland only score 3 points in the first half. We saw them in Dallas only score 13 and ended up a 40-40 tie. And then last week in Arizona, they only scored 6, and they were in close game, losing or in a close game at halftime in each of those. So I think it should be a low-scoring, tight affair going into half on Sunday night.
I like that. The Sunday primetime first half unders have actually been outstanding as plays this year. Both of my younger brothers love primetime first half unders. I like primetime unders in general.
Yes. Yeah, and dogs. And Ryan kind of just made the case for even the Steelers in the first half. They're catching some points at home, too. And then the Monday night game, of course, Washington, Kansas City, off the board right now, waiting for Jaden Daniels' news if he will play. Imagine the Chiefs will be a pretty big favorite at home, regardless, because they are rolling right now.
You would assume, and it's a hamstring injury for Jaden Daniels. That's one of those ones that you basically just have to wait and see. I don't think that even he's going to have any update until
True.
like the morning of that game. So he's got the extra day for it, especially for young guys. The hamstring injuries for young guys, because you would assume, I don't know his personal injury history offhand, but you would assume a guy like him who's been a stellar athlete his entire life probably hasn't had to deal with too many, soft tissue hamstring injuries like that. If it's a rolled ankle, you can usually get a vibe on it throughout the week. But with a hamstring injury on a young guy, especially as a quarterback, like the quarterback, not like a 50-50 shot like a J.J. McCarthy or some other instance like that, it's going to be a wait and see until game time, I think.
All of those great points. That's why I was very surprised to see Egbuka go last night.
Yeah.
With the same type of thing. And that was a pretty quick return for him. But
Hey, and there was another Buccaneers wideout that got hurt, and it wasn't him.
yes.
Go figure.
Yes.
Just an added note real quick on that Monday night game between the Commanders and Chiefs. So it opened across the market the Chiefs -5.5, and then now that Jaden Daniels is really a kind of game time decision or later in the week decision, it's now ballooned to 10 or 10.5 in some spots.
Oh my God.
So yeah, this could very much well be a double-digit spread if Jaden Daniels is not going in this one.
No teaser for me on this one.
No,
Nope.
I like 10.5 with the dog right now. I don't even need to tease them. Overreaction. We saw Washington. They didn't look great against Dallas, and we saw the Chiefs shut out the Raiders. A little bit of an overreaction from both sides. That's a
Yeah.
lot of points.
The line moved from 3 to 7 without even having to tease it. So there's your teaser built in
There
that
you go.
game.
Exactly.
I love it.
We're going to go through Chris Andrews' top 10 quickly for college football, see where he made some moves going into week 9 in college football. I'll run through mine, and then we're not done yet. So we'll take a quick break, but we got more. But Ryan, will you go ahead and lead us off with Chris Andrews' top 10 for week 9 of college football?
Yeah, so these are power rankings. Obviously, these are where Chris Andrews, the bookmaker here at South Point, values these teams, not necessarily standings or ratings, whatever, but it power ranking these teams. So the top rated team in the country is Ohio State, the Buckeyes. Pretty much the same on everybody, whoever you talk to. The Ohio State Buckeyes are the best team in the country. But number 2 is the 2-loss Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Chris is very high on USC, as you see lower in his top 10 at 10. And so the kind of win in the fashion that they did bumped Notre Dame up to number 2 in Chris's list, hopping Indiana, who is number 3. We've got Alabama, the first SEC school, at 4, then followed by Oregon at number 5, Georgia at 6. Still very high on Texas Tech is Chris Andrews at number 7. Miami falling down the board at 8, Oklahoma at 9, and still in the top 10, still very highly rated for Chris Andrews is USC.
I will just point out, too, I've kind of been keeping an eye. Chris didn't get too high on Miami even before that loss. My dad, too.
Everybody else was.
I was keeping an eye, because I finally bumped them up to 3 last week. And then now they got to bump back down. But, yeah, so Chris still high on Texas Tech and USC. Don't hate that at all.
And my question, and I say this as a guy without a top 10 for this week, so I really don't have much of a leg to stand on, but I can't justify putting Notre Dame above Indiana. Indiana has a win against Oregon. They've got a Heisman favorite in Fernando Mendoza, in my mind. And the only 2 teams they've played, or the only 2 games they've played outside of the USC win last week against teams that are of that same ilk, they lost against Texas A&M and against Miami in the early part of the year. So, yeah, they're 2 losses. They're 2 good losses. I just don't see how you can have them above Indiana, who has a win against a top 5 team.
Well, remember, so this is his power ratings.
Yeah.
So that's just how he adjusted and where he thinks they are. I heard a really good explanation for power ratings, and it's almost like a predictive of the spreads. Well, we know that it's making the spreads, but
Yeah.
predictive of where they would be on a neutral, and then kind of how things are going to pan out for the rest of the year. And that says a lot about Notre Dame, and they
Yeah.
have just been very impressive in their wins.
It's hard to handicap Notre Dame just because because of the nature of their schedule, just because of the way that program is. That being said, neutral field, give me Indiana right now.
Okay, that's it. Wow. I will just say, and I'm going to run through my top 10. Wait, I think Ryan had one more. You had a comment on that?
No, I'm just agreeing, and I think we'll see it here on yours in a second.
Okay, so you would actually.
That's called a tease.
You would take Indiana there. Yeah, but I'll just say, look at his top 5 right there. I'm very confident throwing out there. A lot of people have those top 5 just kind of in different orders.
order, I can see
To
it.
Ryan's point, though, Ohio State is number 1 on majority, and they're a good separation, number one for me right now until the next one. And then number 2 on my list is Alabama, actually. I have them the second best team right now in the country.
They're red hot.
They're red hot. Ty Simpson not making mistakes. Very accurate. And their defenses look good. That was an impressive win over Tennessee. Covered the spread quite easily. Number 3, Oregon jumped Indiana again. I was impressed with that win and that bounce back spot after losing to Indiana. It's close. It really is. They're just slightly above. Number 4, I do have Indiana right there, 7-0. Just from where they started, Matt, I had them 14 in the, ranked.
And that was fair at the time.
Right. And now they're kind of just making their way, moving up here. Notre Dame jumps to number 5 for me. They were 7 last week. They just continue to get better. Miami, Florida, number 6, still pretty high, I guess, compared to others. Georgia right there. I think I'm a little high on Georgia, and I don't know if I love that because I think they've kind of been fortunate for these last few wins, especially the Ole Miss and the Auburn, but they did find ways to win. We know Kirby Smart, one of the best second half adjustments. And then I've got Texas A&M, which did not make Chris's list.
I was surprised at that.
They could be a little fraudulent. Keep an eye on them. Not on my dad's power rating top 10 either. Texas Tech, number 9 for me. And then I have Ole Miss at 10. Right behind them, I've got a tie for Oklahoma, USC, and Texas.
Interesting. Yeah, I tend to agree. I would say probably more with yours than Chris, as somebody who doesn't have one for this week. Although I disagree. I don't know how you can have Indiana above Oregon when they played at Oregon and Indiana boat raced them.
Exactly.
But it's all theoretical.
Do you remember what that spread was?
Well, what was that number?
It was at least 7.5. I think it was 7.5.
Okay.
Oregon was a favorite.
Yeah.
So when I adjusted and met them both in the middle, and then I would still have Oregon as a small favorite on a neutral, I think that's fair.
I think
talent-wise, if you were making a power rating for each team.
Yeah. Well,
player by player.
I told you, too, before we took the air that Oregon is wearing probably the best jerseys I've seen all this season in college football, the Grateful Dead crossover. If you get a chance to look at some of the merch, I very, very likely will be buying a shirt from that collection, a $40 T-shirt, but it's worth it. I think that they beat Wisconsin by 100 points this weekend because of the jerseys and because of the talent discrepancy. So I think this time next week, I will definitely more so agree with you having Oregon at number 3 if that's the case.
If we could get Luke Fickell to kind of piss Dan Lanning off like Gundy did, then we would definitely...
I'll call him on the phone and pretend,
we can definitely lay all the points
I'm
there.
a great instigator.
But Ohio State did just shut out Wisconsin, so I think Oregon might be on track too. Let's pull up the Heisman odds really quick while you're bringing up Oregon. Dante Moore sitting there at 14-1. I thought I got a great number at 12-1. Now you can get even better.
Double up, baby. Let's go.
The other one I'm holding is Diego Pavia at 50-1, now 8-1. I do love that one. I'm looking for another one. Haynes King is 80-1 now. Oof. Ryan, at some shops.
Yeah, he's best price available is at DraftKings for Haynes King, but it
would be tough.
The argument there is that he very well is on his way to being in the ACC championship game and would then be in the college football playoff if they won that game. So you in sense won your conference and got your team that was not looked at all going into the year into the college football playoff.
Right.
And he's really the only guy on the list that can really say that. I look at a big difference is for Trinidad Chambliss. On DraftKings, he's around 30 or 35, 40. But on FanDuel, he's up to 75.
Wow. And
granted, Ole Miss is going to need a lot of help in order to get into the SEC championship game and kind of make that same argument for Haynes King. But if they are able to get that help and Ole Miss is able to produce, that offense has been electric and just wasn't able to get stops against Georgia. But if they are able to do so, I would think that 75-1 would be a great price.
That's a great, just a pizza money ticket.
Yeah.
Throw a tenner on that and hope for the best. I think Dante Moore's odds skyrocket for the better after this week because I do, jerseys aside, I think they blow out Wisconsin pretty convincingly. Long-time Big Ten rivals, Oregon and Wisconsin, going at it. All of a sudden, too, we're starting to see the media engine, so to speak, get behind Diego Pavia. Yes. I saw the first social media campaigns from Vanderbilt's accounts saying, hey, Pavia for Heisman. I think, too, you also got to handicap, as much as it shouldn't be about this, as we know, for the Heisman, you got to handicap the teams. Yeah. And I think it's going to be really tough for Diego Pavia to win it. Do I think he gets the invite to New York? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I think he wins the award? No. I think Fernando Mendoza right now is a deserved favorite. I think Ty Simpson eventually passes him. I know they're right there, neck and neck right now in terms of the odds. I think Simpson's going to be the favorite, maybe even as soon as this weekend if Alabama continues the red hot stretch that they're on. I wouldn't put any money on Pavia, but it'd be a great story. Marcel Reed at 10-1. I don't know. Depends on how well you think Texas A&M is going to do the rest of the way out. I got to double check on that schedule before I lay any money on that. But if you think Texas A&M is going to play in that SEC championship game, just even playing in that SEC championship game, I think that might be the only one at double digits right now outside of Dante Moore that I'd lay something on.
You make a good point about Ty Simpson. I'm wondering if it's a good time to just take a plus 350 and maybe we won't get a better number if Alabama keeps cruising.
Yeah.
Plus, if you look at the numbers, you're looking at turnovers, you're looking at passing percentage, completion, passing percentage. He's definitely top.
He'll be near the top in everything by the end of the year for sure.
And then there's someone like Julian Sayin who it's tough to make the argument for because as good as he has been too, their defense is the best in the country.
It's tough when you got a $15 million roster, whatever the number they said was preseason.
I don't know.
They're an NFL caliber payroll. They're an NFL caliber team on the field too, but it's an NFL payroll there in Columbus.
So Matt, you had mentioned Marcel Reed sitting at 10-1 right now. So on A&M's remaining schedule, on the road at current number 20 LSU,
okay,
on the road at current number 15 Mizzou, at home against South Carolina, at home against Samford, and then they end the year on the road at current number 22 Texas. So their 3 remaining road games are against 3 ranked teams, all conference games. If A&M is able to not lose a game and get into the SEC championship game undefeated, Marcel Reed will not be 10-1.
No, God, no. I think that if you're going to take him, now's the time. I think LSU and Texas are both fraudulent, though. I think that in the SEC, you know you're going to have a gauntlet of a schedule, especially going on the road to some of these environments and atmospheres. I hate Marcel Reed at 10-1. Like right now, if I'm going to go upstairs and make a bet right now, Marcel Reed and Dante Moore are the 2 that I'm going to throw it on. I really like the handicap on Ty Simpson that you brought up, too, as far as that number. You're probably not going to get 350 the rest of the way after this weekend.
Ryan, do you have Bama's schedule, too? But to your point, Matt, I agree. And sorry to your brother, Drew, but South Carolina, they're not even fraudulent. They're just not.
They're just bad.
They're not good this
Beamer
year.
ball only works when they're winning.
Yeah, they've already fallen off. But they'll beat a couple teams kind of mess up their.
They'll play spoiler.
Yes, they'll play spoiler. Thank you. And LSU can be, but Vandy just beat them. So I think A&M should be okay.
LSU's frauds. Brian Kelly, take that.
Well, you asked about Alabama and Ty Simpson. Alabama is at South Carolina this week.
Oh, baby.
Then they have their bye. Then they have 3 straight home games. Hosting LSU.
Frauds.
Hosting Oklahoma.
Not frauds.
Is that Eastern Illinois?
Not frauds.
It is the Eastern Illinois Panthers on November 22nd, and then they finish the year on the road in the Iron Bowl.
Why couldn't they schedule the Western Illinois Roughnecks, or Leathernecks, rather? That schedule. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You hear A&M schedule, then you hear that one?
Well, they've already been through their toughest part.
I mean, they've got two buys left. They got 2 buys left, and that includes Eastern Illinois. Ty Simpson at 350. That might be the bet I make today.
Well, and we've talked about it all year long because every week we check the odds board and it's just shuffled and moved. But he's really been there, right, Ryan, the last few weeks. And it's kind of telling you now that it's narrowing down. So as much as we want to have a portfolio and you're grabbing these huge numbers, it's time to really narrow down on those top 5.
It's almost a hedge. Like if you've got a big bet, if you've got like a 40-50 to 1, like you got on Chambliss and Pavia, there's your hedge right there. Take a guy who's plus. You throw some money on Mendoza and Simpson as your safety, almost as a hedge. That one of those 2, I think, probably obviously the top 2 in odds right now. But with that schedule for Alabama, Ty Simpson, they're going to play in that SEC championship, it sounds like.
Not just the schedule for Alabama, but the remaining schedule for Indiana does not have a single remaining ranked opponent. They've got UCLA at home this week. This week. Then they are on the road at Maryland, at Penn State, host Wisconsin, and at Purdue to end the year. So
the question is whether they're going to drop one of those games that they really shouldn't.
In a sleep spot.
Yeah, like that's the only thing that prevents Fernando Mendoza from getting the invite to New York, if not winning the award in my eyes.
The other thing that you have to think about is Alabama has a much tougher schedule than Indiana. Cignetti's not going to, knock on wood, I don't think he's going to drop one of those.
No.
Is he going to put up flashy numbers?
That's the question.
And then is that going to push Mendoza.
Because like for Alabama and
Up to the
A&M,
favorites.
if they win those games and the quarterbacks aren't terrible, those numbers are going to get a lot better.
Right.
But for Indiana, they're going to have to blow some teams out. So that might bode well for Mendoza. I'm not going to lay anything on him right now. That number's too small.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to put up 30, 40, 50 points in some of these games.
Well, we've seen it.
They're capable.
Yeah, we just saw it against Illinois not too long ago, for sure. We're going to take a quick break because we still have a lot to get to. We're going to look at the whole hockey board, NHL, 10 games. We have 2 NBA games. We'll catch you up on those lines, and 2 college football.
Woo!
CUSA, we still have to get to. We'll be right back. 1 minute Sports by the Book. Don't go anywhere.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement. Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here, getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Here we go, Sports by the Book, live from the South Point studio. We are live at the South Point Hotel and Casino. Alex White, Ryan McCormick, and Matt Neverett. Thanks for hanging with us. A little bit over time today, but we had a lot of catching up to do. Had to get Matt's thoughts on the NFL so far for the year and a little college football talk for you. So we'll see if any of us jump in on any more Heisman odds here. It's been pretty crazy. Let us know in the comment section if you have any tickets and who you like and who you're pushing for. Okay, let's get to college football tonight. CUSA, we've got 2 games. We really need to break these games down. I said last week to Bruce Marshall, I don't really know who is good in this conference. It's been very tough, some crazy upsets. So let's take a look at who we got tonight. Nope, that's not the first one. Kennesaw State and Florida International. Kennesaw State has been much better this year than last year, Matt. They were one of the worst in the FBS, but Jerry Mack has done a very good job. Kind of 2 quarterbacks. Started out Dexter Williams, Amari Odom got the starting job, and now I think we're going back to Dexter Williams more because of injuries than anything. Florida International coming off a big win over Western Kentucky, and that was a big upset for them. Keon Jenkins is the quarterback there, and they're catching 3.5 at home, total 49.5.
This one at the house that Pitbull built down there in Miami. This is an interesting matchup. I think it's 2 of the worst offenses in college football. 136 teams. These 2 teams are ranked 121st or worse in total offense. I think that the old saying, when you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one.
Right.
I fully subscribe to that theory, especially here as you get into the middle of the season. And Kennesaw just kind of finding their footing at the FBS level, and FIU trying to infuse some money and take what they can get out of the talent in Southern Florida. It's tough. It really is tough for them to get a lot of those guys to stay home. This is a total rather that has gone up a couple of points over the last couple of days since the lines came out. I like under in this game, just with the 2 quarterbacks for Kennesaw State. FIU really hasn't done anything too crazy offensively on their own. And this one's tough. It's, a Tuesday night game. It's hard to get up for those. It's the first one of them for Conference USA. We're getting into midweek action this week. I love it. It's the best time of year. I like under 49.5 in this game. I just don't see these 2 teams combining for 50. Decent defenses and bad offenses. That's my handicap of this one.
I like it. It kind of goes with mine, kind of correlates because I'm taking the points here. 3.5 with Florida International at home. I made this game a pick 'em. I didn't think that Kennesaw State was that much better to be laying points on the road. They have won 4 in a row, though. But on the flip side, Florida International coming off a big win, feeling good. Offense is starting to click, and defense, you mentioned it, really good to shut down that Western Kentucky offense. So I think it's a low-scoring, tight game. I'll take the points.
And in a game that you personally handicap as a pick 'em, catching 3.5 on a home dog is going to be, I think, a really big advantage.
Especially these midweek games, right?
It's hard to travel on a Monday to get up for a game on Tuesday and then go back to playing a game next Saturday.
And it's a standalone, so you're getting everybody's best effort. That's where you want the dogs.
Absolutely. I like that. I like that handicap a lot.
Under and points for us in that one. Let's go to the second one here. Western Kentucky, Louisiana Tech. Now we've got the home team as a 3.5-point favorite. And then the total here at the South Point, 50. Up to 50 already between these two. Maverick McIver, been the quarterback for Western Kentucky for a few years now. Very good, completing 67% of his passes, 1,800 yards, 12 touchdowns, 5 INTs. Louisiana Tech on the other side, it is Blake Baker, kind of a quarterback competition late into the season, 649 yards, 3-to-1 ratio for him. What are you seeing in this one between these two? You like anything?
I mean, I think Western Kentucky is able to slow down the offense for Louisiana Tech a little bit, as you had mentioned, kind of going back and forth between quarterbacks still. In terms of trends, I'm a big trend guy. In this matchup in particular, between Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech, the dog, is it the dog? Visiting team, rather. The road team has won each of the last 4 matchups, and it's gone under in 3 of the last 4. So while I think that one of them continues, I've got no play on the total. I am on Western Kentucky. The Hilltoppers catching 4 points. I don't know where you have this one power rated, but these two teams are, relatively close. There's nothing really that stands out too much on paper. I think Western Kentucky defensively has been a lot better on 3rd and 4th downs. They're allowing just 31.5% on 3rd down, which is a really good number at this point in the year. And I think that makes a difference in a game like this where the two teams are decently even matched. And also, the Hilltoppers may have some of the best uniforms and helmets in all of college football. I love Big Red. He's like Grimace, but red, if you haven't seen him. But I'm on the Hilltoppers catching 4. I got my whiteboard. I'm back. I got to get the whiteboard, baby. Western Kentucky plus the 4. I'm on Kennesaw and FIU under 49.5. Those are 2 plays that are loaded up in my account right now at South Point.
So I was surprised because I actually made this number 4.5 Louisiana Tech at home, but I'm usually on Western Kentucky. I like Tyson Hilton. He's done a good job since being there. He's had to win a record since 2019, head coach for Western Kentucky. But yeah, I was surprised that my numbers didn't match up to take the points there. I can't fault you for doing that. I do think they have the better quarterback. It's got to be Louisiana Tech's defense that has their power rating so high because they have been really good holding opponents to about 20 points per game.
Keep in mind, visiting team has won and covered the spread last 4.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I do like to go and see at least the last couple years the results, and I didn't between these 2 games. So
it matters. It matters in conference play for sure.
Yes, it definitely does, and that's where I would say that home revenge, where Louisiana Tech won on their home field, and now Western Kentucky wants to go in there and return the favor. 51 is my total, so I have nothing in this game at all. I'll just be watching it. But I have some hockey picks.
If there is a play on the total, I'm going under.
You're going under for both? Ryan?
The one thing that I want to mention, at least in this Western Kentucky-Louisiana Tech game, the total is at 50. These two are both coming off of losses in which that their offenses combined for 13 points.
Oh, my God.
So 6 and 7... 6. Okay.
Knew it.
So yeah, I would not be wanting to take the over in this one.
No, definitely not.
Okay, good. Now a quick update on NBA. Here we go. Houston gets to take on the defending champions in Oklahoma City Thunder. They are laying 6.5 total, 227. Ryan, you wanted to bring up a small little thing about this game?
Yeah, it will be Kevin Durant's one of many returns in a different jersey to Oklahoma City. So yeah, the total or the side what did open Thunder minus 7.5 is now down to 6.5, and the total has gone up 0.5 point from 226.5 to now 227.
All of a sudden, KD's got that Shaquille O'Neal rainbow jersey going on. Where you just see the different pictures of him.
Yep.
Hey, but he just got extended, and I saw somebody bring up a very good point. Kevin Durant will be a Hall of Famer. Is he a top 10 player of all time? In my eyes, yes. Like outside of it, even outside of accomplishments, just in terms of physicality and the skill that he brings, he's a top 10 skilled player. And I think in terms of accomplishments, when he's all said and done, he will be a top 10 player in the history of the NBA.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree.
Not too many 7-footers that can shoot and dribble the way that he's always been able to.
No, there are not.
Now, that being said, give me the Thunder in this one. I don't think Houston's got what it takes in the early season with Oklahoma City really continuing the momentum of what they started last year.
Remember, Houston had some momentum last year,
They
too,
did.
though.
You know what? But they didn't have KD.
No, exactly.
No, I still like the Thunder in this one. I haven't handicapped a ton of NBA, but I've been paying attention. I think the Thunder all of a sudden have a chance to be like the Dodgers without the payroll. They've got a chance to legitimately make the finals in the Western Conference and the NBA finals for the next 5-6 years with how young that team is.
Very good offensively and defensively throughout the year last year.
I forget what the Thunders against the spread were last season, but I do remember that they were an absolute wagon.
They were awesome.
Covering the spread last season. But again, they are going to be hanging their banners and getting their rings tonight, so the Rockets should be attempting to play spoilers tonight.
Thunder first half -4. If I'm going to play anything, that's it.
Could be a good in game too. Well,
Yeah.
we know all NBA
Yeah.
is better in game. Second game, West Coast here. Golden State laying 2.5 against the Lakers. 226.5. Of course, no LeBron James. Do you like what we've seen from the Warriors coming into this year? They've made a few moves.
Yeah, and this might be the one that I actually play a first half. They're laying 1 in the first half in LA with no LeBron, the LeBron-less Lakers. I actually like that play a lot. Full side or full game rather. I don't know if I have a play on the side. I like that first half angle though, especially in that home opener at the I almost called it Staples Center. Whatever they're calling it nowadays, the Crypto Dome.
That's it.
Yeah.
I like that too. I think the Warriors are going to be good.
I think so too, especially with for their standards a down year last year.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to be in prove it mode and getting back into the playoffs. And the Lakers, I think, are just riding on their name brand, and they don't want to work as hard. So I'm with the Warriors in this one.
I like it.
Even though Luka Doncic did come back in even better shape, right?
Yeah.
Ready to go.
That's always been overblown to me. That's always been so overblown. He can play. If you can play, you can play.
True.
Especially with that Euro style that he brings. He doesn't need to be the first one up and down the court every single time.
Right.
I say that as a guy who that's my style of playing basketball, but I don't have the shooting touch that Luka does.
Well, and that is why, thinking of a different Europe style with the Denver Nuggets and the Joker, they are the second favorite to win it all behind Oklahoma City to do it again. All right, for the NHL 10 games, we're going to kind of just group them 5 games at a time. We're going to put up the board as a whole. Looking at the whole card, I'm going to ask both of you if there's a dog that you like, a favorite, maybe a total that's too high or a total that is too low. Starting off with the games, 4:07 start time, Pacific time, that is. So San Jose Sharks, Islanders, New Jersey against the Maple Leafs. Ryan, did you see that yesterday? Vlad wearing
Yes.
Austin Matthews.
He broke the curse.
Is that a thing? Okay, Maple Leafs hosting the Devils, Vancouver, Pittsburgh, Seattle, Washington, and Edmonton, and the Senators. So who wants to start us off here?
I think this is the day that the Sharks get their first win. Ryan Warsofsky's not going to have to sell off one of his kids for it. I don't think. The Islanders have been really slow to start this year, and for the Sharks, something's got to give. I mean, they're not going to be the best team. They may not even be the 14th best team in that conference. But I think that they do get the win tonight on the road. I think something's got to give. I think when push comes to shove, the Sharks at plus 180. Now again, like I said, this is going to be a tough one. I think that this is more of a feel play, more of a vibes play. But if you want a dog, that might be the dog tonight.
Well, what about just going with the total and expecting goals from both sides, or maybe taking the Sharks
6.5.
team total over? Both of these goalies have really struggled, and it's surprising to see from Sorokin, but he has 4-1-4 goals against. So
Yeah.
maybe Sharks could at least score. I know 6.5 is very high. I don't love that.
Yeah, that is gross. That is the single highest one on the board, although it's even money on the over.
Even money on the over. That's for good reason, I think.
Save
Tough
yourself the
between
big on
those
that, yeah.
So that's your dog of the day?
I think it's got to be, because I'm not laying 210 with the Kraken on a back-to-back. That's going to be a tough one for them in Washington. I mean, I am on the Penguins at minus 110. That's basically a pick 'em right now. against the Canucks. I think the Penguins have gotten off to a hot start at 4-2. That's my team. I'm a little biased, but I think that I think they can get it done tonight at home over the Nucks.
I do like that one too. I actually like the first one you said too, Kraken on back-to-back.
On fire,
I
baby.
hate
Let's
that
go.
at all.
Well,
Ryan, where are you going?
Kind of going to that Kraken Capitals game. It is a back-to-back. Seattle was in Philly last night. Not that Philly to DC is much of a trip, but the Kraken did lose in that one. The Kraken have lost 4 of their last 5 on this kind of road trip, and they're just not a good team. And the Capitals have kind of been struggling to score. So I will be going under the 6 in that one, a chance to push with the 6. You are laying the juice here at the South Point, the minus 15. But I will be going under in Seattle and Washington. And then the kind of last game in that 407 spot, what Edmonton at Ottawa, the two of the Canadian teams facing off against each other. That one I also like the under. Ottawa is really, really struggling. Have not been able to win a game other than the opening game this season. So Oilers struggling to score on this road trip. Senators offense struggling, period. We'll go with the under in that one, even though I know some people like the action on the over.
I like that under that you just where's your first one?
Both I like the unders in
Seattle,
both Washington.
Okay.
Yeah. Washington,
I like that one. I didn't look at that one too much yet. So let me take a look at Edmonton. I just realized we have some requests, so we're going to have to slow it down and go through these games a little bit slower for the ones that chat request. And we're starting with the Sharks. Let's go back a little bit. Sharks and Islanders, taking a look at this one, deep dive. Islanders have been pretty good, and they're a very big favorite. Matt likes the dog at plus 190 here at the South Point, minus 220 for the Islanders, total 6.5. So just to jump in with some of their numbers as of late, the Sharks have lost 5 in a row. Islanders have won 2 in a row. They've won 1 at home coming into this, and they're all over the place with totals. Is that 5.5? No, it is 6.5. That's what we said. We couldn't go over the 6.5. It was too high. So I really have nothing. I'm sorry I can't break that one down, except for that both goalies have not been very good, and both teams right now are struggling. Tied for 31st, the Sharks are in goals allowed at 5, and the Islanders are 28th, giving up 3.8.
Here's a trend. I'm a trend guy. In the last 6 matchups between the Islanders and the Sharks specifically, keep in mind they're opposite conferences, so it may be over a little bit of an extended period of time. But the Islanders have won by multiple goals in each of their last 6 wins. They're 6-4 in the last 10 against the Sharks. Each of those 6 wins, though, has come by multiple goals.
Jeez.
So, I'm on the Sharks mostly just for the vibes. But if you're going to be on the Islanders, go for the puck line. You can get plus money on the puck line on the Islanders right now.
Well,
Ryan will have to decide.
With that point, I will be taking the puck line and fading the worst team in the NHL and the Sharks. I'll go against you, Matt. So one of us will have. Well, I guess we could get middled really hard here, but
yeah, I like it.
But the Sharks got shut out against the Penguins a couple nights ago. They lost 6-3 on the road against the Mammoth in their only road game so far this year. And the Islanders have won back-to-back games against the Oilers and against the struggling Senators. So I tend to go with the team that's won 2 straight against the team that has yet to win a game this year. So we'll go with the Islanders on the puck line, getting plus 150.
It's just been brutal as of late for the Sharks. They lost in overtime in their first 2 games this year, and then have a 14-4 goal differential since then against. Yeah, it's just been bad. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm more usually with Ryan going with the streak, not trying to jump in front of it. But I can't fault you there because
I'm a renegade, I guess.
Yeah, they got to try and get a win here sooner than later. I don't know if this Devils, Ryan, what's the next request we're seeing?
We had Kraken Capitals, but we kind of gave our thoughts there. Did you have any numbers on Oilers Senators?
Yes, I do. Oilers Senators. So I actually 120. I've got the Oilers minus 110 on the road, and the total 6.5 between these two. And I actually do like that. You liked under.
I did like the under. Yeah.
I like over. We're all against each other today.
I love it.
Just because I really like Linus Ullmark came over from Boston. Remember, it was him and Jeremy Swayman. But he's kind of struggled this year. And Ryan mentioned the Oilers struggling offensively, but I think they got to figure it out. And I think this is a good spot against Ullmark. 3.99 goals against average on the year.
Oof.
And an 848 save percentage.
That's
so
brutal.
yeah, if the Senators can put up any, I mean, they're tied for 12th right now in goals per game, 3.17. So I lean to the over in that one, but not a crazy one.
Yeah, and I mean,
difference.
I do like the under in that one just because I don't trust the offenses to kind of score based on how they've been playing recently. But Ottawa, I think, is the only team in the league that's allowed over 30 goals so far this season.
Oh, my goodness.
And everyone else, I think, has allowed underneath 24. So, yeah, Ottawa has not been able to stop any pucks from going in the net. So, wouldn't fault you for wanting to take the over, but I'm going against the offenses and just thinking that the goalies will be able to keep the puck out.
I think there might be another team with them because I see them, they're tied for 31st, allowing on average 5, but that could just be the average that they're tied at. Matt's not happy about that. Okay, then we skipped a few, right?
Yeah. Then another request for Kings on the road in St. Louis. Blues minus 125 on the money line, total 5.5 with juice to the over.
5.5 juice to the over. I've got it juice to the under. Kings are typically an under team that I do like. They've lost 4 in a row now coming into this. They have been struggling. The Blues, I think the Blues should be a bigger favorite. $1.25. I just mentioned the losing streak for the Kings. You even add in a little bit more for St. Louis. This is one of those teams that we've wanted to back early on in the season because I do think they're going to be much better. Jordan Binnington is the better goalie. So I like St. Louis at home at that cheap price.
Well, it's funny. So this one's at 5.5. The only other game that I'm seeing on the board at 5.5 is Panthers Bruins, and that's just because they're going to be beating the hell out of each other the whole game. That's just going to be a 60-minute fight in a physical game. So I can see why that one's at 5.5. Kings Blues.
Yep.
That one I'm not as sure of. If I had to make a play on that game, I'd go over just because it's the other low line, and they're not going to be fighting for 60 minutes straight. I'm going to be watching that Panthers Bruins one though at 4:37 on ESPN. That's going to be an interesting game. A lot of bad blood between those sides. I mean, everybody's got bad blood against Florida, but that's you know, they're like the 1980s, 90s Pistons. They're like the bad boy Pistons of the NHL right now.
They really are.
Brad Marchand, probably my least favorite player in the league right now.
I don't know. I like him more now that he is with Florida, but when he was with Boston, well, that's why.
I dislike him no matter where he's playing.
So both of those teams, Florida and Boston, started the year 3-0 and have lost 4 straight games.
Oh,
They're
something's
now 3-4.
got to give. Something's got to give.
The Panthers are in the 5th game of a road trip, and the Bruins are coming home after finishing a road trip. So this will be a tough-fought game. Both teams reeling, having lost 4 straight.
No play for me, but I like Boston as a lean for sure.
Well, 3 straight unders for the Panthers too. We talked about their injuries, and I, was bragging, oh, they've won 3 in a row. It doesn't matter. They have so much depth, and now it's really shown up here. So
yeah, they've scored 4 goals in the last 4 combined.
That'll happen on the road trips like that.
Yeah, and both goalies are really good. So I don't hate that under 5.5 there.
2 more requests before we get out of here. Actually, we've got poll results and ticker trivia for you as well. But one of the 2 requests between the Ducks and the Predators, Preds minus 130 at home, over 6 is juiced.
Well, you know that I have been wanting to back Nashville this year. They've lost 3 in a row, though, now coming into this one, 2 on the road, 1 of them at home here. I still think they have the goalie advantage with Saros, so I think that's another cheap price for the home team. I don't really want to get behind the Ducks. They're tied for 20th in goals per game, 2.8. Nashville has been much better, but they have been the better defense, 21st in goals against. But, man, they are tied for 28th in goals for.
Yikes.
So that might just be an ugly one. Not to mention I did make it 5.5. So if you're looking to play that one, it might be a good under getting even money there.
It might be right on that. I think it might be first 1 to 3 goals wins in this game. I don't think this one's going to be high scoring at all. Heck, it might be first to 2. I could see like a 2-0 or 2-1 final in this game.
So far, unders have been pretty good for us. We had a good one yesterday with the Rangers, who can't score right now and have a great goalie.
Did you see? So they were, if they didn't score in the first 7 minutes of that game, they were going to break the NHL record for longest home goal scoring drought to start a season.
Oh my God.
In a season. They scored less than a minute into the game.
Yep.
And that was the only goal that they scored in the entire game.
I love it.
So yeah, just the Rangers can't.
We're going to break this streak.
Seem to get anything going.
Yeah. We're going to break the streak and then not do anything for 58 minutes.
That sounds about right.
No, they tried. It was 1-1 going to.
That sounds like me on an average work day. Come in and get stuff done and then ride off those laurels for the rest of the day, and those.
All right, to get to the final NHL game of the night, Colorado on the road in Utah, taking on the Mammoth. The Avalanche, road favorite, -140. Total is at 6 flat.
Ryan, you want to take this one? I think we're all like the same side
I
here,
think
don't
so.
we?
Yeah, we all like the road team here, I think, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. We need a clip of Vinny. One-way action.
That's right. And we got the retro jerseys. Is that tonight, or they just debuted them?
I think they'll be introduce them. I think they'll be wearing those for the first time at home, or at least they should be.
The Quebec Nordiques.
Dang it. Yeah.
That's
So
a good one.
excited.
The don't forget, that was the team that originally drafted Joe Sakic. He was a Nordique before he was an Av.
Okay. Very good. Didn't know.
a
That's a
big-
different trivia. For
Big Joe Sakic guy. Yeah, I promise that's not the trivia for today.
I do want to say, though, Utah has won 3 in a row as well. So Colorado coming in on a nice win streak. Utah as well. They better than expected, but we've talked about them.
Yeah.
But Colorado, I just think they're still the best on the West Coast over here.
I think so. I mean, it goes to show, though, for Utah, you get a new name, you get some new sweaters, and look what happens.
Well, and out of that small ice rink
Yeah, exactly.
in Arizona, right? So, Ryan, do you want a break before we go over trivia and the poll question, or are you ready to run through that?
I think we're ready to get everything going and get
Okay.
you guys. We've got your winners, and shout out to Long Island Mike for those NHL requests. Hopefully we fill your pockets.
Hopefully we get some winners. Sorry, Long Island Mike, for picking the Sharks today.
But today we had a poll question relating to college football as we were going over our top 10s and everything. So which team on the road is in best position to have a bounce back this week after having lost last? So Ole Miss catching 5 on the road at Oklahoma, Illinois getting 4 at Washington, Baylor getting 4.5 at Cincinnati, and 60% of our viewers say Hotty Toddy and the Ole Miss Rebels get a win, or at least cover, against the Sooners at Oklahoma.
I tend to agree with that, especially with all the rumors surrounding Lane Kiffin. I think it's going to go one way or another. I think they either put up a dud or absolutely have their best game of the year, and he puts to rest all the rumors, at least for the time being, that he's going to be connected to that Florida job, which I think would be perfect for him. But
You do?
yeah, I think they need to get him out of Oxford, Mississippi. He's getting himself into too much trouble down there.
I thought he was staying out of trouble. He's doing yoga. He quit drinking. He's doing well.
You don't need the drinking to get in trouble if you're Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, he's
His new thing is hot yoga, by the way. I don't know if you saw that.
I did. And I agree. Hot yoga, hot Pilates.
That's your thing.
Everyone should try it. Yeah. It's
Lane
awesome.
Kiffin hasn't showed up at your studio yet, has he?
He has
You
not
go
been
you go
to
too early
Vegas.
in the morning, though.
That's right. He can't make my Sam's.
Way early riser right here.
Oh, sorry, we keep getting the detours.
My fault.
Sorry, poll question.
Well, I mean, you made the mention of a good hire for Florida. I think James Franklin's going to be the hire in Florida.
I
Florida
do
State.
too, Ryan.
I think he goes to Florida State
Florida
eventually.
State.
Eventually.
Well, we can have this conversation later. But
Yes.
getting to today's Sports by the Book ticker trivia presented by City Light Shine. Basketball question for you today. On this date, 2 years after his retirement from professional play in 1974, New York Knicks retired the number 19 for Willis Reed, second-round draft pick himself, who is the only other second-round draft pick in the NBA to date, besides Reed, to be named NBA League MVP for a season. And the answer would be Denver Nugget Nikola Jokic would be the second round pick to be named league MVP, but it went from 1974 to 2021 without having a second round pick win MVP. So
it shows the discrepancy between the first round, really the lottery, the top 15 picks, and the rest of the NBA draft versus how guys are acquired. Another Joker trivia question. He's the first ever player to be drafted while a Taco Bell ad runs. How about that? Do you remember that from his draft day?
Yes, I do.
That was a good one.
remember
He was that tells you how much of an afterthought he was coming into the league.
Right. No, it definitely does.
Now I'm hungry.
All right, we'll get you out of here. We appreciate you, Matt. This was a fun show.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'll be here every Tuesday. I'm really excited to be back. I love hanging out with all you guys here at South Point Studio and love the new studio as well. It looks great.
It was good talking football with both of you. Ryan, anything else before we say goodbye?
No, just make it a great day and let's get some winners.
Let's
All
do
right.
it, baby.
Oh, we have to do our whiteboards. That's what it is.
Yeah.
See, I was just going to sign off.
I guess I should
All
have
right.
cheated.
Good luck reading mine.
Matt, you are first. What do we got?
Kennesaw State, Florida International under 49.5. And Western Kentucky plus the 4. The road team has won and covered the last 4 matchups between Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech. Give me the toppers. Let's go Big Red.
Ryan, are you next?
I don't have a board.
No board for Ryan.
I stole your board. Sorry.
Any hockey that you did like that you want to give out for sure?
So I'll scratch the Ottawa under since we like or you guys like the over. We'll combat that, but I'll go the under in Florida, Boston under 5.5, the flat 110, and then under in Seattle and Washington as well, under 5.5.
Love it.
Getting a plus 110 on that one actually.
Thank you. You just reminded me.
He's adding another one to the board.
I need that one too. This will be on my round robin.
No.
Okay, here we go. Especially I need a bounce back after yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking Florida International 3.5 at home. I'm taking Canucks and Penguins under 6.5. It's 6 here at the South Point, but I see some 6.5s out there. Shop around and get the best number. And then I'm copying Ryan here. Panthers, Bruins. I think that is going to be a physical game, and I like both goalies a lot, under 5.5. And then I am going Blues. St. Louis Blues at home against the Kings, minus 126. I think that's a great price.
Blues.
And that is it for us for today. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in. Thank you for participating in the poll and the trivia and the requests, like Ryan said. Thank you, everybody behind the scenes. Sorry we went a little bit long. For Matt Neverett, Ryan McCormick, I'm Alex White. We'll see you again tomorrow. Sports by the Book here at 10 a.m.